Chris Brown here again, No Nonsense Know-How, and today I got what I think is going to be a pretty quick video. It's a 2014 Mazda CX-5 with a 2.0 liter, around 140,000 miles on it, and the complaint is running extremely rough. Upon starting it up, I definitely have a misfire going on, but no engine light, no pending trouble codes or anything like that. However, based on the way it's running, definitely one of those 4 cylinders has a misfire, so it should really have a P0300, 301, 302, 303, or 304, but it does not. Misfire means quite literally that one of the 4 cylinders is not firing. And for combustion, you need 3 things, right? Adequate compression and properly timed valves, adequate spark, and adequate fuel to air ratio. So let's dive in here and take a look what's going on. As I stated, after a quick code scan, no trouble codes stored in the computer. Okay, so when I start this thing up, it's running on all 4 cylinders very smoothly. If I bring the RPM up, had a little stumble there, but definitely banging on all 4. However, if I put it in gear and I hold the brake and then give it some gas, now I have a dead miss. I don't know if you can hear that. Listen to it. After doing that a couple times, I actually just got lucky and it's misfiring at idle right now. Dead miss. I'm very surprised the engine light's not on, but this gives me a great opportunity to find out which cylinder's misfiring. I don't know if you can see the engine shaking, but definitely have a dead miss. So get this cover off by pulling up on it. On the back too. And that just has these towers that snap into the rubber grommets back here, and these rubber grommets right here. Looks like has some kind of mice in here at some point. Ooh, that's not good. So yeah, get that stuff out of there. The easiest way to find your misfire, we got number 1, 2, 3, and 4 cylinders. You're going to unplug these coil packs. So you push in right here, then you can slide this. When you unplug it, you're going to want to notice, does it shake more or less, or does it stay the same? Oh, so I definitely got more shaking with that one. This one, I have no change. That's cylinder number 2, so we got a dead miss on cylinder 2. Let's check the others, just for giggles here. More shaking, and more shaking. So we've got a dead misfire on number 2. I'm going to shut the engine off now. Quick note for you here. If this misfire for you is only occurring when you're accelerating and it's running smoothly at idle, then you'll want to have a friend hop inside, put the car in gear with the parking brake set and holding his foot on the brake, and then give it a little bit of throttle to get that misfire going, and then you do the same thing here. So let's pop this coil pack off, take a look. It's an 8mm bolt on it. Upon sliding the coil pack out, you're going to want to look for cracked and dry rotted boots and any like burned up stuff. Look like, see, this little burned on the bottom. It's not a good sign. Let's pop out number 3 and see what that looks like though. And number 3 looks about the same. So what we're going to do here is just swap number 3 into number 2 and see if our misfire follows. Real simple. After doing that, fire it back up. All right, I'm lucky. I got a dead miss again at idle. So let's unplug number 2 and see what happens. No change again. So that means it's not the coil pack. Number 3, that one's running strong with the coil pack from number 2. Since I now know the coil pack's okay, I've swapped them back and I'm going to pop that spark plug out. It's a 14mm hex on that. And then I just got a little magnet to pull the spark plug out, unless you got a spark plug socket handy. This is number 3. And number 2, you can take a look at the difference in color there. This one looks like it's obviously running a lot richer, and so, but now I'm going to swap these, put them back in, and make sure it's not a bad spark plug. That is extremely uncommon. I don't think that's going to be a problem here, but let's try it anyway. Okay, same thing, dead miss at idle. Let's unplug number 2. Oh, all right, so that time it got worse. That tells me that number 2 is not misfiring, and number 3 does not change. So guess what? The cylinder misfire moved to number 3, and that means we got a bad spark plug. I rarely ever see a spark plug cause a misfire, especially at idle. Maybe under load or in a boosted engine, Well, actually, this thing is turbo, isn't it? No, it's not. I guess I really shouldn't be too shocked though, because these are factory Mazda spark plugs, and I doubt that they've ever been replaced in 140,000 miles. Just spoke to the customer. They said go ahead and throw a set of plugs in there. I mean, when you're putting these in, a good spark plug socket that holds the plug in there is nice. I don't have one handy right this second, so just make sure when you slide this plug into here that you got it in there. You don't just drop it, because that could bend the electrode. And always make sure that you hand start the plug, thread it all the way down, and the torque on these is, I believe, about 15 foot-pounds. But if you're using new plugs with a new crush washer on there, it's usually about a half turn after you feel that washer contact. All right, let's see how this thing runs. Runs nice and smooth even when I power brake it. Now I was kind of wondering what's actually wrong with this spark plug. Measuring from the feed input on the top down to this tiny little iridium electrode, I was getting 5 to 6K ohms on all the plugs, including the bad one. Then I measured on the bad plug, I measured from the feed input to the ground, and definitely don't have any short to ground or anything like that. So what more than likely has occurred here is this porcelain insulator that insulates the 30,000 volts of spark from the ground, this casing, more than likely has a crack. That porcelain probably has a crack on it on the inside somewhere, and so when that spark's traveling through, it's taking the path of least resistance and jumping to ground instead of jumping that little gap right there in the combustion chamber where there's high pressure. I'm gonna go pull this thing in the shop now so I can blow all this debris out, and the customer actually added an oil change to it as well. The last tip I'll leave you off with is taking a little bit of grease, any grease will do, and rub it on these towers, on these two here and this one here, these ones, so that when they slip into these rubber boots, they come out next time with ease and they don't get seized up. Well, I gotta run here now. Hopefully that wasn't too boring and you can take something away from that job. It was a pretty simple fix. Hopefully maybe it helps somebody else out there, saves a couple bucks or something like that, you know? Like I said, I'll have those links down below if you want to pick up a set of spark plugs or anything else for this car. And until next time, this is Chris Brown here, No Nonsense, Know How. I'll see you next time.